going, everyone? Welcome to the show. I'm James Rosile. Joining me today is Scotty Hawk from Hawk's Call. Holic Rounds. We're going to have another guest joining us in just a little bit. Scotty, how you doing?
I'm hyped still. Just got out, like, not that long ago, half
out
hour ago.
Out of the movie. We should let it. It's
Yes.
the movie you got out of. Yes. Okay.
Yes. 3 hours, and there's slight criticism about the end, and I really didn't see it. Last half hour flew just as fast as the whole movie for me. So
we're not gonna get so this is no spoiler talk. We're doing no spoilers. You see up in the corner of the screen, no spoilers tomorrow, 3 p.m. Eastern live. That's what we're doing the spoilers today, though. No spoilers, Scotty. But yeah, the ending of this movie, there is a point in it that is in the trailer. You know what? One complaint I do have about this movie was the trailer showed a lot from the bottom half of this movie. Not like specifics, but shots. There were shots that happened later on that were in the trailers. And I was like, oh my gosh, wow. But
you're right.
There's a shot in the trailer. Yeah, I'll tell you this when we're done recording. There's a shot in the trailer that's in the trailer, and I was like, okay, that's kind of weird. Like in the trailer, I thought it was weird. The context of the movie, it works beautifully, and it's a moment in the film when it happened, and I was just like, oh, I effing love Batman. It was like this moment. I was like, oh, not like, dude. I mean, this Batman, yes, but Batman as a whole, it was just this whole like Batman. I'm like, I just love Batman. Batman is the best, and we won't go into spoilers, so I won't say it is. But I'm with you. That last 45 minutes, it felt. It actually, for me, and we're not gonna compare this to other Batman movies because it's still too early to do that. You know, like we've had time to process all the other films, and this one's whatever. But I will say that the ending, the very, very end was actually very similar to The Dark Knight. I will say that. But the middle chunk of the final act, I thought they pulled it off better than The Dark Knight.
The second half of the movie for me, and even I think it's specifically the part that everyone's complaining about, for me, had some of the best Batman moments as far as like, and I'm not going to be specific, but I was really paying attention to all the advice he gave Selena Kyle.
Yes.
And it really stood out to me as like, this dude gets it. And like, this is Batman. So, you know, just the way he was trying to tell her how to approach things, I felt was like very Batman.
It was extremely Batman. And the great thing about this movie, is, you know, there's been all this talk, it's year 2. This is year 2 of him being Batman. It's year 2.
Oh man. Narration.
But yeah,
that's all I want to say.
Well, this is year 2. It's year 2. They make a big stink about this being year 2. We heard all leading up to his year 2, but it's still at the heart of it about Batman becoming Batman without having to watch his parents get killed for the 1000th time. This is a movie about Batman being Batman.
Dude, and you talk about world building. It's a movie about Gotham. It is a movie about every single player in that city, dude. Like, I'm ready. I'm all in for everything they do in this universe. There was a moment with the Penguin towards the end. I'm ready for his show now. Right now.
But speaking of right now, let's bring in our good friend Kale. The youth critics here. Hey, Kale, how's it going?
What's up, man?
Hey, I'm good. How's it going? Hey, and
Great.
yes, I know what you're talking about with the Penguin. Yes.
Yep. Set him up nice.
All right, so yes. Go ahead.
No,
Kel, you saw.
We're going non-spoiler.
You saw this movie before us. Yeah, we're going non-spoiler. This is non-spoiler right now. Is he frozen? All right, let's keep going on the.
Okay, all right, so yes. All right, y'all can hear me, right?
Yeah, you're back.
Hello. Okay, so.
Hey, you're good.
I saw this movie. Yeah, I saw this movie early on Tuesday night, and great screening. I saw this for the DC Presents, and they had a great overture. The overture was the Riddler theme. So, Yeah, and they had this incredible. Oh, it was incredible, and it was in IMAX. It was, but yes, non-spoilers. I love this movie. I'm a huge Batman fan, and this movie was almost way too overstimulating.
Dude, the introduction of the Batmobile, I was like, I thought it was behind me. That thing was amazing. So
yeah,
good.
and just the showdown between that and the Penguin, just like the Penguin, just like eyeing it, like he knows what's about to go down. Yeah, it
was good.
It's great. All right, but still non-spoilers. So
it's you know what's funny is I was talking to somebody the other day and they're like, "Have you seen spoilers?" And I said, "No," and I don't even know what you could spoil in this movie. The whole thing, this whole movie could be spoiled. It's weird because it's not like twists and turns necessarily, but it's like every element of this movie you don't want to know going into it because it's so fascinating. And I think much like the Nolan films, it does work if it's not a Batman film, but they utilize the Batman characters and lore so well in this. And shout out to I gotta say one thing. There's two things in here that they did that really blew my mind. One, that they did something that the Amazing Spider-Man movies, they tried to do it, but they just couldn't stick the landing on it, and that had to do with the parents. This movie stuck the landing on the parents, and in the 1960s Adam West Batman show, which I watched religiously as a child, Catwoman. There's a Catwoman scene in that show. I'll mention it tomorrow because I'm not gonna mention it today. But there's a Catwoman scene in that show, and if I don't think they meant this at all, but there was like a role reversal going on, and I was just like, that is Adam West right there. There was a role reversal, and that made me very happy. But it was the Amazing Spider-Man parents that they set some stuff up, and you're intrigued by it, and then you just kind of let it go. Whereas this whole movie is based on the parents, the mystery of the parents, which I thought they pulled off not going into details, obviously. I thought they pulled off very well.
Dude, that whole storyline about the history that his family has with that other thing they bring in. Oh, I can't wait for the second movie. Dude.
Oh yeah,
man,
it's so, because it's so rich. Like that's the thing I love about this movie is there's so much detail in everything, not just like in the story, but also in production design, the way the whole city acts towards, Batman. I mean, I don't think this is a spoiler, but I mean the way Gotham, interacts and characterizes Batman is so mythic. It's so
loved that.
Oh, it's so mythic. Like I know there's been a lot of talk, just kind of pitting Reeves and Snyder against each other. I feel like Reeves and Snyder are kind of like handshaking each other, like because they both create a mythic legend out of Batman here.
Dude, and everybody was wondering about like where the Snyder's after this. I can see these, like, I can see it. I can see them being a multiversal thing they could mess with in the future. Like the universe he has built in the Reeves verse, I got a lot of vibes even from the Snyder stuff, the Snyder Batman stuff. Like it was a tribute to a lot of different. I'm excited about the Adam West story because I have not seen any of that show, admittedly.
You've never seen that show?
I know of it. I've seen the YouTube. I mean, I got YouTube, in the outer rim, we do have that.
Yeah. Wow. I watched it a lot.
That was my Batman growing up.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, because I had the anime series. Yeah, same.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, same. That was my introduction, and then I watched all the Batman movies when I was like 3 or 4 years old at the time, like the Schumacher and Burton movies.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I really dug into it, and then I saw the original Adam West like later on like TV Land, back in the mid 2000s before Batman Begins came out. Mm-hmm. That was interesting to go from that to Batman Begins.
Yeah, that was my Batman. Like my Batman was Adam West. And then all the cartoons were basically versions of Adam West. That's what I grew up with. And then the Michael Keaton one, the Tim Burton one, that one was such a big deal. But you know what that one did though? When that movie came out, it was Batman is going to be wearing black was a big deal. He's bulletproof was a big deal. And the other thing was there's only going to be one villain in it, and that was obviously the Joker and Jack Nicholson. And I still think he did a great. I think he's my, I mean, Heath Ledger's Heath Ledger, but I think the Joker, like Jack Nicholson, is whatever. But this movie, what I really appreciated about this movie in regards to Batman centric material was the use of the rogues gallery of villains, and there's all the ones that you expect, maybe some more, but what they use them in the mystery, like they were part of the plot. They weren't, the Riddler's the main big bad here, but the other rogues gallery characters are used within the Riddler plot. Not necessarily the Riddler's even aware of that necessarily, but like he does that, and they interwove them so perfectly, these characters from Batman, that it used to be Mr. Freeze, Poison Ivy, and Bane, and it's like there's too many villains. Now it's like, man, they could have put more in. They could have put more in here, and they would have made it work. I felt.
Yeah, I don't know the full count. I think there's like, because I mean we count Carmine as a villain as well.
So the mob, for sure.
So yeah,
we all know the names.
So technically, there's like 4 villains in here, or 4 if we want to include the Rogues Gallery, or not Rogues Gallery, Catwoman as a villain, even though she's an anti-hero in this.
Yeah,
I would count her as a villain though, because she's Catwoman, and she's
still counts as.
I'm old, so I'm going with her as a villain.
But she's kind of like the Solo in this movie,
the wild card.
Yeah, she's the wild card, if you will.
Yeah.
Like, you don't know exactly what you're going to get, but especially as you discover her character more throughout the film, and, in all the little surprises, all the little things. I know I'm teasing, but just all the little things, that are, interwoven into her story. And it's all interwoven into the theme of the movie, which is how all these characters grew up with their grief, excuse me, their own grief. I mean, Bruce has his own grief that we're all aware of, and that the viewers are all aware of course. I mean, Riddler but Edward has his own, grief. Selina has her own grief.
But you know what, too, man? Like, people are a lot of the pre-movie hype was like emo Batman. There were funny moments in this, and I remember 2 jokes. One being pretty like directed at like trying to dig Batman, and the other one was like a joke but complimenting Batman, and I thought they were put in there very well. So there were moments of like little quips and humor, especially between Selina and him. Also, you felt that tension. Oh,
it was a lot funnier than I expected to. It's not hilarious. It's not, you're not gonna.
Oh no.
All the gangsters, all the mobsters had moments I was just like smiling from ear to ear while they were talking, because they were perfect.
And even Riddler has his own like gallows humor. Like the riddles
himself. He got better as the movie went on.
Yeah.
And like his voice and everything got so much better. He was amazing.
That is, the Riddler, and I got to see it with Andrew Fantasia here, who that's his favorite villain, and he, for years, probably for 10 years, he's like, I want a Riddler movie, but Riddler's got to be like Jigsaw and Saw, and he kept going on and on and on, and it was like, and we're watching this movie with it, I'm like, and I turned to him like, I hate your guts right now, like I hate you, because and that's one thing I gotta say, the first time you see the Riddler in this movie, that was like a shock moment.
Yes.
Like the guy in front of me jumped 3 times in this. I jumped too, but he jumped 3 times this movie. And that was the first time he jumped. Was the first time we got a glimpse at the Riddler. The Riddler is no holds bar. Like they took. I don't even know how to describe him without spoiling, really. But he was a fantastic villain, top tier, just like horrific, terrifying. He was methodical, knew exactly what he was doing, and there was no stopping him.
But also his ideology is scary too. Like the way, and even the way he's brought up, like it's scary. It's also mythic as well. Like it's just as mythic as he is. like this orphan boy who grew up in, I mean, just even a downright just like slum of an orphanage, and he's coming up with this.
He's an orphan that had a different life, and it shows like the disparity between the privilege that Bruce Wayne that Bruce Wayne was grown up with, and you know where the Riddler's everything comes from. The way he just talks, the way he breathes, like it was amazing. He didn't even need to speak words, and he was speaking. You know what I mean? It was awesome. I love that character. He might be my favorite character in the movie. Maybe more than Batman. I'm just saying he was that good.
He was excellent. And
he had a full circle arc.
And it's funny. It's funny that you say he might be even more than Batman, because Batman is in this movie significantly more. Like, there are chunks of this movie where the Riddler's nowhere to be seen. You don't miss him in those chunks, but there are chunks where he's just not
you feel
in
his
it because
effect,
exactly, because the movie's trying to figure out who this guy is and what he's up to, and he doesn't even have to be on screen for it, and the cause and effect that's going all around him. You know, the Penguin, which Colin Farrell's like, I'm in 5 or 6 scenes, and then you watch and you're like, oh, those are a big 5 or 6. Like, Penguin was in this movie a lot more than I was anticipating based on what I had heard.
Oh yeah, and going back to the Riddler, I mean, his presence is just like Heath Ledger's Joker in Dark Knight, where it's the Joker's not there in every scene, but the way the character's presence, the way the character's actions affects the story, it affects the world around Gotham. Is it so similar to how the whole world is affected by the Riddler's actions? So I mean, it's even more shocking because this guy can get in anywhere. Like, he can get in the most highly secured places and get anyone, and that's the true horror of the
dude.
piece.
He was an agent of chaos. You want to compare it to both movies? Like, they both portrayed just the chaos. They wanted chaos in Gotham because they're trying to show everybody what the hell is going on.
Unmask the truth.
Yeah, so good.
Oh gosh, he even thinks he's the hero of his own story. That's what's even scarier.
Yeah, his motives are very strong.
Yeah.
I almost just spoiled something, but yeah, he does. Every villain thinks they're the hero, right? That's how it works. But this, I'm not sure if I think he knows what he's doing is wrong. But it's for the better good of Gotham. So it's kind of like he knows that him and Batman are parallels, but I think he realizes what side of the fence they're on. Maybe he doesn't actually, because there's a scene. Anyway, it's really. I thought his overall plot. Kayla, actually, let me ask you this, because we talked about it earlier. But the last act, how did you feel? Without details, obviously, how did you feel about that last act?
What I love about, and without going to spoilers, what I love about like the Batman and Riddler's interactions are that it's paying homage to Joel Schumacher's Falling Down. Like, there's that famous scene where Michael Douglas interacts with like an actual crazy person, and he's like, and the crazy person's like, I'm like you. I'm like, and there's this moment like that in this movie where, Riddler thinks that he is an agent of Batman. I know Miley, like, he feels like he is an agent.
Yeah, he's
working for, that's what's so scary, and it creates this whole shift in dynamic for the whole arc of the movie, because we start this movie with Bruce as in Batman voice, thinking he's an agent of vengeance. He's an agent of vengeance.
The I'm vengeance line is a through line.
Carries a lot of weight.
Movie.
Yeah.
It has multiple meanings, comes from multiple things. It was cool.
We didn't know that when we heard it the first time 2
Right.
years ago at Fandom, right?
Right. But it plays such an important role because that's how the whole city feels. Like, the whole city feels like it's on the verge of needing vengeance rather than justice, because systematically, the whole renewal project that's been like touted throughout the movie failed. It failed the citizens of Gotham. Like, everything that even Thomas Wayne invested in didn't go to the right people. It just went back to the corrupt. So I know I'm mildly spoiling some stuff, but
yeah, I'm trying not to say anything.
I know I'm trying to be careful to not give too much away, but that's the arc of the movie, is Bruce having to go from I'm an agent of vengeance to I'm an agent to not even an agent anymore. Just like I'm a beacon I have to become a beacon of hope. That's what the arc of the movie is. He has to open up.
You've said too much.
I have.
There are a lot of Batman.
Yeah, let's reel it in. Let's talk a little bit about.
I'm not revealing the ending.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm sorry. I'm not revealing the ending. But
we're getting close, man. Oh, it's so
okay.
hard.
I'll be quiet. I'll be quiet.
It's hard to do it.
All right, someone else goes.
I'm trying to save you.
Let's talk a little bit about. Let's talk a little bit about the cinematography of this one. Batman Forever obviously was nominated for best cinematography. I think The Dark Knight was as well. Kale, as a movie guy, what did you make of it? Like the film noir stuff right off the get go? Once we're introduced to Batman, it felt like a film noir from everything. Obviously the voiceover, but the cinematography I thought was beautiful. And the posters, they kept leaning on the red and the yellows. And then when you watch the movie, you're like, oh, that's why they leaned on those colors, because this movie is full. It is filled with red and yellows, Kale.
Right. Well, it's even more red. So even in the DC Presents screening, we got like these slideshows of the motion posters of like the red rain falling in, with Batman. So to go to your cinematography, it's like this interesting cross between Blade Runner and Seven. That's the kind of the whole vibe of the movie is it's trying to cross all of these like 90s and 80s with a little bit of tinge of the 70s of like crime thrillers, and also like being modern as well. And so that's and it creates this kind of like timeless quality. And to go to the cinematography, like I love it because it's so rich. Every detail, so much of the movie takes place like during magic hour. Much of, especially during Selena and Bruce's scenes in the movie. As shown a little bit in the trailer, like they have like all of their scenes look just so incredibly dynamic and rich. And then when it's dark and chaotic, when it needs to be, especially during like the club sequences where it's just strobe lights, like it's so perfect. And then it does something even crazier. Can we talk about the gadgets a little bit, or do we want to hold off on that? I
think we can do a little bit of the gadgets.
Because there's that whole eye.
Because I mean, it's Batman. It's Batman. We know that Batman has gadgets. Some of them are in the trailers. I was happy that he went back to a utility belt. He uses the utility. Maybe it doesn't have shark repellent or anything like that, but he uses a utility belt in this.
He doesn't have shark repellent,
which is unfortunate, but okay.
I got a really Sin City vibe from the opening of the movie, and based on like the way they shot Gotham, just reminded me of how Sin City opened. I don't know if you guys remember that movie. But
yeah,
I'm trying to.
Black and white. It was black and white except for certain moments of like blood splatters and things like that. Wasn't it Frank Miller? I don't know who did that.
And Robert Rodriguez.
Rodriguez. Yeah.
Robert Rodriguez.
Miller wrote the script in the novel.
Yeah, so just the whole panning over Gotham and showing different angles of the people on the streets and things like that. It was cool, man.
Gosh, that whole opening after the prologue is so good. It's so chilling.
And his Batman voice is good. They don't do any weird like auto-tuning. It's just he just lowers his voice. It's good.
It's almost like Robert Pattinson was good the whole entire time.
Well, I've been saying, Kel, in every video we've done that I haven't been on board with Dafoe playing the Joker, but the Lighthouse, when those two play off each other in the Lighthouse, I'm like, bring that every day. Put them on screen together. Dafoe can play any villain he wants opposite Pattinson. I will watch that movie because those two were great together.
Honestly, give Dafoe Two-Face or Harvey Dent.
Oh, that would be great too. Actually, yeah. He just put him as long as he can interact with Pattinson because they're great together. Let's talk a little bit about Gotham City. Gotham City is a character. We went away from it just being Chicago. There's pieces of Chicago in it, obviously, but in the Nolan movies and London, yeah, they're like this mixture of whatever. But in the Nolan trilogy, after Begins, it basically just becomes Chicago, right? There's not really much else to it. It's just here's a big modern city. This one had like the modernism of Chicago, New York, but also like the old medievalness of the UK and whatnot. So I thought it was perfect, and they kept showing these beautiful shots of it, and I felt them. I felt like I wanted to go there, but not because it's so damn corrupt.
No, I love Gotham in this movie. Like it feels like an homage to both Burton's and Nolan's, because like it just feels like the color grade, everything design wise, like it feels like such a homage, but also it feels so unique. And then also what's so great is there are extras. There are people in this movie that you feel like are real. Like everything feels realistic and lived in. And then even the locations we get to go to, there's the club, there's the abandoned, I guess, construction site where the light is. There's the graves. There's, I mean, not going in anymore, but like there's so much, even the Wayne, tower, everything feels so lived in.
They give you all of Gotham, that's for sure. They even show like literally whole maps at times. So if you're a super nerd, you'll have opportunity to dissect that for sure.
Yeah, absolutely.
What did you guys make of the Riddler's puzzles?
I love
them. Did you love them? Did you find they're a little easy? I'm not saying I did. I'm just asking.
I think they were pretty good.
Easy? I will say I did enjoy them a lot. I enjoyed certain things, and I enjoyed, without spoiling anything, I enjoyed Alfred's little gameplay into it as well. I thought, I was like, oh, that's fun. I'm glad they, because I think Andy Serkis is obviously great as Caesar, but I thought he was phenomenal in Black Panther as Claw in Black Panther, and they offed him way too soon, I thought, because I was like, he's so good. What are you doing?
They're always killing him too soon. Star Wars, that it's just
apes. Yeah, the Lord of the Rings. Oh, Kong.
Sorry, had to.
Yeah, and yes, we're spoiling. We're gonna spoil other movies. That's my thing.
Yeah, we'll spoil other movies. We won't spoil this movie. Well, I think we might have already spoiled it. Batman is Bruce Wayne. A very different Bruce Wayne, though. A very different Bruce Wayne, though. We've never gotten a Bruce Wayne quite like this in movies before. Like, he's so far removed from obviously Ben Affleck. Even like, this movie will get compared to the Nolan trilogy a lot. They're going to, especially Dark Knight. They're really going to want to, which one's better, this or Dark Knight? But this Bruce Wayne versus that Bruce Wayne are other than having a lot of money, they're completely different people. Like, completely different people.
Yes.
I want to know more about Alfred, because that was something they didn't really touch on. Is who trained this Batman for 2 years? Why is he such a good combatant, etc., etc.
In the prequel book, Scotty, I will tell you.
Oh yeah.
That he travels abroad for like 10 years, and when he learns different. I think he learned some fighting styles while he's gone.
But is it ninjutsu?
It's Bruce Jitsu, as Alfred likes to call it. He does, and Alfred teaches him ninjutsu. It's called ninjutsu. Alfred was British secret intelligence. Yeah, Alfred was British secret intelligence, and that's kind of been their thing. And Alfred, and in the book, the first part of the book, Alfred always beats him. He bests him at everything, and then at the end, Bruce is finally like, "I got the upper hand. I can take you out now, old man."
Nice. Okay.
The prequel book, I don't know if I would recommend it still, but it had a lot of little details that kind of filled things. Like, that's one of them. But then the Wayne Manor being burnt down, you learn how that came to be. So there's things
Nice.
in that novel that play out in the movie. I won't go any further because some of them are actually kind of spoilery, but that's all in the trailer.
Cool.
So wait, is this prequel book? Is it kind of like this universe's version of Year One?
Yeah. So actually,
montage.
in the movie, he has the diary that he writes in a diary in the book, in the movie, and in the book he also has that, and it's Gotham Project Year One in that one actually. So yes.
Okay.
Dude,
Okay.
when we talk spoilers, I have a lot of thoughts on that diary scene. The diary scene, I was like, wait a minute. Like there was more to that. It was cool. It was cool.
Yeah.
There's a lot going on. Well, let's talk a little bit about where this stands in your guys' minds in relation to other Batman films. You don't have to say it's better than another, not that, but is this like how obviously you would both recommend it, I believe, but why? How about why would you recommend it?
I think if you enjoyed the Nolan stuff, you will thoroughly enjoy this. I think the only thing that this one differs in are the villains. And they, we've already compared Heath Ledger to some of the stuff we've seen. And I just think it's a great sign of what's to come. As far as building a universe, I really think it's done just as well, if not better, than what they did in Dark Knight.
I have no idea where to place it yet. I feel like my brain is still this is too fresh, and I'm seeing it tomorrow as well.
Amazing.
So I will say, to your point, if you are a huge Batman fan, like both comic and movie fan, and I guess all the animated stuff, like you're going to love this movie. Like I'm trying to think like right now, like how in the world could this somehow be turned into a Last Jedi situation? Like because there's always that fear of like a movie like that gets to be this good, then gets like its reputation like tarnished because of it just gets its reputation tarnished, and I'm always weary of that now, but right now I'm like, I don't know how, because this is the movie everyone has been wanting. Everyone's been wanting a detective story. Everyone's been wanting, proper characterization for all these characters, no matter how wacky it is. I mean, the Penguin is the Penguin. Like, I don't think he has the
detective stuff, man. The detective stuff. There were little bits, like if you blink you miss it moments of that they show off his intelligence. I was like, wow, that was awesome.
Oh yeah, I mean, we'll talk about it more during the spoilers, how that all works. But you're right, yes.
One thing that I liked about it though was it was the grounded in reality tone, blah blah blah, but it wasn't. That's the one thing though. It's like it was grounded in its reality, which was similar to ours, but it was a little bit more over the top. Like Reeves definitely had, he didn't go overboard right there with anything, but he definitely had fun with it, and he didn't hold back. Like if you need a detective contact lens, he had a detective contact lens. If you need this, he let things go that maybe somebody who wanted a little more down to earth wouldn't have. So he definitely had a little bit of fun with it. Penguin, he waddled. His nose was pointier than I thought it would be in scenes. He definitely had, like, you could just feel like that there was an attention to detail and care that went into this movie that, Kale, to your point, will definitely divide fans because of Pattinson Batman and he has eyeshadow on it. That's what's going to happen. is they're going to be like, they won't be able to see past that. And actually the prequel novel goes into why he puts that over his eyes is pretty funny. It has nothing to do with the cowl. It has to do with just disguising his eyes when he doesn't have a cowl, because it takes place before he has Batman mask. But like,
that's funny.
But the thing is like, it makes sense. It all makes sense. You're right. This was 3 hours. Everyone knows it's 3 hours. We don't have to talk about it being 3 hours, but I had a smile under my mask for the entire. I don't know if you guys have to wear masks for the whole 3 hours. I was smiling. and I was like, this is, and I honestly like, in the third act when things were happening, I just was like, I effing love Batman. Like because the third act, they do something with the Riddler that went full like Batman villain. I'm not even saying it properly. I'm not trying to. I'm not.
I think I understand.
Yeah,
it was the end of a scene in the trailer. It was the end of a scene in the trailer, right?
No, it was.
Oh, okay.
It's not even the Riddler, but it's the Riddler. Now, do you know what I'm saying?
Okay,
it's not the Riddler. And that was that's how Batman villains work. I'm like, this is what you're doing. And I was just like, I was all in. I'm like, and it just felt like a natural, like the whole film felt like a natural progression all the way through. Whatever was cut out, I don't know, but if nothing felt missing, nothing lingered either. There was a scene with Catwoman that I was like, oh, this might go done. Let's move on.
Yep.
Like there was a scene with someone else. I'm like, this is gonna linger. No, let's go, move on. Like, this is 3 hours. There's got to be 400,000 scenes in this thing. Like it just kept going and going. And Giacchino's score, I thought was, I've listened to it for like a week, like since Friday. But in the movie itself, though. And by the way, Scotty, I don't know if you remember, we talked about this last week. I think I talked about this with you. There's a track called The Great Pumpkin Pie. And there's a scene in the movie when someone says, I just ordered a pumpkin pie. I didn't even catch that. Andrew did. He's like, that's the pumpkin pie song you told me about.
Those are just all the Scarecrow Easter eggs for the next movie.
Mr. Rez wants to correct me. It's actually only 2 hours and 56 minutes. It's 2 hours.
Oh.
It's about
we only had. What was that, Kel?
No, it's about the same length as The Sound of Music. So.
Oh, there you go. So pick your poison. I only had 12 minutes of trailers before the movie. That made me happy because
same.
I was like, I'm not sure. I didn't drink water for like 12 hours. But I was like, my bladder has to be completely dry. I had popcorn and I was so parched that I was like, let's go.
I know this has nothing to do with the movie, but what trailers did you guys have? Because I also got a short and reel.
I got the DC Heroes 1, Doctor Strange 2,
Sonic. We got Sonic.
I did not get Sonic. I wish I got Sonic.
Like, really? What was Sonic before this movie?
Dumbledore.
Yeah.
And there was another WB one. I can't put my finger on right now. Obviously,
Man of Steel 2. I mean,
it was Man of Steel 2. No, we did get it ended.
Wait, this was no spoilers.
It was weird. It was weird though because we got the trailer for the DC 2022 slate, and then the movie started. There was no like feature presentation. It just like started. I was like, "What's happening? Where are we right now?" What an opening, by the way. And then you're in it, right? It's like in and you know the theater hadn't quite this.
Yeah, it's similar to Jack Reacher's opening.
Yes, very much. Yes.
Oh my gosh, so great.
The trailer was just a tease. The trailer was a perfect tease of what this movie is, man. It was awesome.
Yeah, because you can guess a lot from the trailer, but you won't be right.
Yeah.
and there's
that's the thing. You don't know how it's gonna end.
Yeah, and there's so much more to it. Although I said this off the top, Sky, they put a little bit. There's too much stuff from the end of the movie that they threw in the trailer. Maybe not dialogue wise, but shot wise. And I was like, because one thing I love was what movie? It was I think The Force Awakens 7 years ago now. But that movie, The Force Awakens, they only showed I think the first 15 minutes of the movie in all the trailers, I believe, or 20 minutes or whatever. And I prefer that where I don't have to see the whole. Not that this ruins anything, but there's literally like. One of the characters, the last shot of this character is in a trailer. And I was like, really? Like that's Amazing Spider-Man 2 material there. I mean, it doesn't ruin the movie. Nothing in the trailers necessarily ruin the movie, but I'm not a fan of, I don't know. There's stuff that was happened just so late in the game that
you have to come to the dark side, to the spoiler side. Trailers.
No.
Trailers are just well fabricated spoilers, guys. I'm telling you.
Actually,
you're not going to get ruined
Kale,
by anything we talk about over on my channel.
Kale, you might appreciate this, but when What Lies Beneath came out, they showed the twist, like the big twist in that movie in the trailer. And even Castaway, both Robert Zemeckis movies, showed that Tom Hanks got off the island in one of the trailers. And they asked Zemeckis, and Zemeckis actually said he finds, or this is like a study, not necessarily him, but if you give away things in the trailer, and to your point, Scotty, the spoilers, people will go see it. People like that. That's what they want. They want to be spoiled. They want to know what they're getting into. I'm not. That is not me. I don't want to be on that boat.
I'm not.
It's
on that
weird.
boat
It's a growing culture. It's gaining momentum. I feel like, especially because of Marvel and the way, and also sorry not to cut you off, but the way that companies hide things in trailers or add things in that are just not there in the movie. You know what I mean? And actually, a really good example of this, because it's an old one, is Talladega Nights, the Will Ferrell NASCAR movie. All of the really, really good jokes in all those trailers and stuff, they were not in the movie. They were on a blooper reel at the end. Yeah. So, yeah, for sure. I don't mind them.
I think for me, it's just I don't like playing tic-tac-toe when I'm watching a movie, like, or doing a cross list. Like, okay, we got this scene, we got this shot. Man, we're really close to the end. I guess they're not going to have that. Oh, here it is. And not that you should go into a movie like playing like tic-tac-toe or bingo with movie trailers, but it's nice to have a movie like Avengers Endgame where you're like, oh, everything was in the first 30 minutes, mostly.
You know what's funny too is a lot of times when I feel like I know a whole movie, like the Spider-Man stuff, when the whole plot came out, pretty much, you go and you sit down and you start to watch it. You forget all that stuff. You forget all that stuff. You don't even remember the list you came in with, the things you're looking for. Like, yeah, so.
As you should. I mean, a movie's supposed to have discovery.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
Did you guys have the Batman combo at your theater where the popcorn was in Batman's head?
No.
I mean, well, I'm in Canada. We don't get stuff. Mr. Red says, I prefer just spoilers and I avoid movie.
Yeah.
Go on Wikipedia. Just go to the Wikipedia.
Struggle is real.
It's very real. But look, this movie was just we're gonna spoilers again tomorrow 3 p.m. Eastern. But this movie, I was hoping for a good film, and I know, like, that's what we got. We didn't get a good superhero movie. We didn't get a good action movie. We got a good film. Like, this was a solid. I said right out of the theater on my review right out of the theater that this is the best. And I'm not even gonna say maybe. I'm gonna say this was the best, hands down, Batman story we've gotten on film to date. This was the best one. I think it was Kale, I'm gonna shut off your mic. This was This was the best Batman story we've got on film to date. You can debate me. It's all subjective, so whatever. But I'm going to say this is. But this was, I think it was. And I think, and what I will say is I thought the mystery, the detective, I didn't mute you.
I know.
I'm just,
that's good.
The detective aspect of it, the way it played into the rogues gallery and just everything about it. That's where I am. You could argue me if you want. I'm not going to say you're wrong, but you are. But my feeling was when I got out of the theater that this was the best story we've gotten with Batman in a feature film. I'm
not going to argue. It's just for me, it's just still a little too early. Like the pie is still hot, if you will.
No, so I didn't say that it's the best Batman film. I just said the story within this one I felt might have been the strongest story we've gotten. So it's different. Because I think it's like right now I can say I like this better than Batman Forever, but I've seen it once. Do you know what I mean? Like it's hard to debate that. But the story itself, I just thought this might have been the strongest story.
You can tell the passion and the like effort that Matt Reeves put into this project, dude. It is a tribute to every Batman that came before it. It is its own brand new iteration of a Batman. Gotham is its own thing that they're going to spin off. It is so hard to say it's not one of the best things they've done for the character of Batman in a long time.
Yeah, and that's all I'm saying. I mean, whatever. But Reeves just said an Arkham show is also on the docket, and after watching it, it's like, oh, that's completely different from what I was anticipating, right? Like, Rez agrees completely, probably with Kale, but I'm saying agrees with me. But the Arkham show, after seeing the movie, you're like, what? An Arkham show? There's so many more levels now after watching this, right? There's so many more levels.
Not just
because when I first heard Arkham show,
Arkham Asylum anymore. Like what they did is so amazing, dude. Oh, I can't wait for people to see it.
We're getting.
And that's my question and that's my question for the future is how much is Matt Reeves going to get involved in all this? Because I mean, is he going to be kind of like a Jon Favreau type, or is he going to kind of delegate like all these different, shows to different showrunners?
Hopefully they got a plan, man.
I hope so, because I mean, I don't want this to take away from him doing sequels or any other stuff.
No,
he's 100% doing the whole trilogy. I think that's like this trilogy is his because they pitched him the Batman stuff that Affleck was doing, and he was like, "Man, if I'm doing this, I'm doing this." You know what I mean? So I think he's going to do all three movies.
I think he's going to do the movies, and I think he's going to oversee the shows. I don't think it's going to be like James Gunn doing Peacemaker, which is good and bad, I guess, because the bad is James Gunn just wrote and directed Peacemaker and goes, here you go, it's done in the can. And you're like, what? How did this happen so fast? Like the speed of which that show came to be, it makes me so upset when they announced all these HBO shows for these Batman characters, and then Reeves is talking now. He's like, well, we'll see how the movie does. It's like, no, just do them. Just do them. Yeah, just make them. Make them. I can't get HBO Max here, but I will find a way. Kale, you tried to help me out with that. It didn't work, but I will find a way to.
Yes, I tried. It's that's. I'm sorry. Get VPN. Maybe. Oh wait. I don't. Wait. Would that? Never mind. I don't know if that would work. No, but I'm just gonna go ahead and say it. Like DC is 2 for 2 this year. That's not happened I don't think ever.
They're hitting, yeah.
I guess if you, depending on if you like both Shazam and Joker, you can say 2019 was 2 for 2. But I mean, still, like we got like because I mean Peacemaker, then this, and then the Super Pets even count or.
They want us to count it.
Okay, so we got like 4 more of these DC projects coming out this year, and it's all looking good. Like the reel they showed about 2 weeks ago, that's in the trailer. It's now. It looks good. Like the footage looks great. Like I mean, even with like just a little bit of the Flash with the visor, or Dwayne Johnson in the Black Adam costume. Or Aquaman in his new black costume or black and blue costume, like it all looks great. Like it looks like we're gonna have a great year for DC.
This movie's gonna do crazy numbers, man.
I hope so. I mean the audience reaction for this was huge. I don't know about you guys, but it was everyone was pretty buzzed.
I will say this: my theater was. They must have thought that Charlie Cox entered the theater when it ended because it was dead silent when it was over. I was worried to like show any emotion when it ended. Yeah, I was worried to show any emotion when it ended because people just like got up, shuffled off, put on their jacket, and walked away. And I was like, "Am I the only one that liked the movie in this theater?" I couldn't tell. And then I looked over at Andrew and I said, "What'd you think?" He goes, I think I loved it. I go, do you think you did or did you? Because I definitely did. Am I alone here? Am I
was
on
speechless.
this island? Yeah, well, I saw your tweet about it, and I was like, I can't, like, am I but it was the only one of the. There wasn't a lot of people in my theater either. There was like 15. I'm like, am I the only one that liked it in this theater? I can't tell. It was. I don't know. People might have liked it. I don't know. They were emotionless, like just like deadpan, like. Well, it was 3 hours. Someone did bring their little kid though, and I was like, just like, I don't.
God!
Yeah,
Wow.
Maybe not.
Yeah, as soon as I saw the kid walked in, I was like, Dale Erdman says they finally made a good Batman movie.
I mean, I'm the one that saw Batman Returns when they were 3 years old, but no, please keep the kids at home.
And on top of this movie's boring for kids. I like on top of aside from everything else, it's 3 hours.
Listen, if this is PG-13, I'm not worried about Moon Knight. I'm not worried about Blade. I mean, this movie for PG-13, man, they toe the line. My kids can't watch this.
The opening scene, the opening scene was like, I was like, whoa, you're starting with that. Okay.
Yeah. Even the scene that follows it is still just as like shocking as the scene before it. Like it's still just like visceral and cutthroat and like it just like is so like wow, like we are on a different plane here. I mean, we've come a long way from 33 years ago when Keaton was hanging a guy like off of a cliff. We've come a long way from that awesomeness to this.
Who are you? I want you to do me a favor. We definitely have. You're absolutely right. It's remarkable how far we've gotten in this. But you know, I remember I watched that movie as a kid and it was a little bit edgy. Now it's Scotty, 10 out of 10. I gave it a 111,000 out of 10.
He did. I have records.
I honestly, like, the movie ended. I said, I was like, I text my wife and she goes, how was it? I go, we're waiting for the next show. Like, we're gonna stay here until they play it again. Just keep playing it because I loved it. And
this is James in the theater.
Yeah.
Just gets underneath the seats.
Sweep around me. Sweep around. Just, Kara, what was that?
No, I was like, yes, just starting the reels, like get the reels going back again, or the DCP, turn the computer back on.
Let's go. It was just, it's like they sold me on a movie, and it was the one that I got, and I ended up really, really enjoying it. So it was like everything kind of worked out, and you're right. This is 2 for 2, Kale. They got 2 for 2, and they've got 3 or 4 more coming up this year. We'll see what the track record is like at the end of it. But this one is so different from the other ones that are coming. This one was definitely a Matt Reeves passion project. You know what? We won't compare this to another Batman movie, but let's compare it to another Reeves movie. How would you guys compare this to like a Dawn of the Planet of the Apes? Because I think Dawn of the Planet of the Apes is one of the greatest sequels of all time. I think he just like destroyed that movie in every way. How would you guys think this compares to that?
Go ahead.
Slightly less epic, slightly less of an epic, but I mean, they're both very, very good movies. This movie is everything. The environments match. All of the actors are lost in the roles. Even just the little subtleties from Gordon, like he's so good in the movie.
He was a phenomenal.
Everybody did a top-notch job, and I feel like that's what makes it a 10 out of 10 for me because there's no real one part of it that I was like lacked.
Comparing this to Dawn of the Planet of the Apes, just specifically, I don't know. Like Dawn of the Planet of the Apes is like my favorite blockbuster from the previous decade. Like hands down, that's like my favorite like blockbuster. Not my favorite movie from that decade, just favorite blockbuster because
it's so good.
I mean, it's just like Dawn is just like it encapsulates everything about what the Planet of the Apes is, but tells a very human story, and also is covered in pathos. And this one, it has its own pathos. But it also, it's so hard. Like this, it's so hard to compare and contrast because they're both different, but they're also so great on their own. Like this one feels like you said earlier, Scotty. It's an epic. Like this movie, this is a full-fledged 3-hour, epic story with all these characters. And then Dawn of the Planet of the Apes. It's really about the struggle between two tribes. That's really what it's broken down to. Not to simplify it, but that's really what the movie is. It's a movie with a conflict between two tribes, the humans and the apes of San Francisco.
Mm-hmm.
It's good. Yeah, I always recommend Dawn of the Planet of the Apes to people who haven't seen it. I said you have to watch this, and I think this would be the Batman movie that I say, I know you don't like for someone that didn't like a superhero movie, I'd be like, you're gonna like this one. Like although it's very specific though, right? I can see people not liking it, to be honest. Like it's not gonna be for everybody, but I would highly recommend the Batman to anybody that enjoys a good story, a good you know what it was too? It's like living where I live in hell. We couldn't, our theater shut, like amazing, like Spider-Man 3 came out. What is it called? No Way Home came out. I saw that. And then like the next day our theater shut down until now. And so I didn't get to go to a movie. And so I missed out on Scream. I've missed out on all these movies. Not as big, obviously, but I missed out on all these movies.
You missed out on Uncharted.
Yeah. I missed out on classics like that. But like I missed out on all these movies. And now I come back and this was like the perfect one to roll out the welcoming mat, the one that's like, hey, remember movies? This is why you're here. And it was so it was perfect. I mean, it was just, the whole experience was just perfect. And unlike my experience watching Ghostbusters and Spider-Man No Way Home in that theater, no one spoke. It was very quiet in the theater when I saw it, and I appreciated that. Thank you, all 15 people in there who might have been miserable. I have no idea.
I know, like that's what I love about this. Like, there's no I can hear people's dialogue in this movie. I don't have to no, please. I didn't have to hear the dialogue between Yeah, I love it. I genuinely love the audience experience, even if it was muted. But I mean I mean it. Like everyone was so buzzed after this. The only disappointment came was that there's no real stinger at the end. There's no post-credit stinger.
Yeah, I was gonna say that was gonna be my final thing to say is the ending of this movie to me just feels like a brand new let's go, man. I want to know more about this, and this. I'm on the hook for a bunch of different reasons.
Yeah, I think there's a post-credit stinger, we can call it.
It's an Easter egg. It's like an Easter egg.
In my opinion, if you're not a sweaty, you don't have to stay. I did not stay because I already kind of know what it is, or I've already seen it because it's out there. But
also, if you really just have to go to the bathroom, go ahead.
Yeah, it's not
exactly.
You shouldn't stick around. It made Captain America at the end of Spider Homecoming look good, and this one. But I stood around until I got it. There's a flash though, but I missed the flash. Whatever it was, there's came on the screen. I couldn't see it. So if you want to stick around, you can. But you can definitely avoid this one. But I think that it didn't need a post-credit scene because of what you said, Scott. It sets everything up in the movie, and especially at the end of the movie. There is a scene at the end of the movie that I think will have all of the fanboys of everyone giddy.
Yeah, you want to see the movie before you get it spoiled.
Hold on. Don't pull. Hold on. Let's tease. I'm just stopping y'all from letting on too much. But,
okay,
but yes, there is.
It's a very fun scene that involves Catwoman, Batman. I'm just joking. And let's, before we wrap it up, the volume that they used on the Star Wars show was used for those rooftop scenes in this one. What do you guys think of that?
Amazing.
Oh, that's what that was?
Yeah.
Yep.
Oh, that's incredible.
Really good.
There's your answer.
I wish I could do that kind of stuff. I'm gonna figure it out.
I mean, I figured it was some kind of blue screen or green screen technology at first because Matt Reeves kind of said during the pandemic or the early stages of pandemic, they wanted to reconfigure their entire shoot to be all interiors we're all indoors, so they have more like control of their environment.
Dude, all of the sets were amazing. I loved all the visuals about in this film. It was really, really good. When people say masterpiece, it's like sets, music, the sounds, every little sound, every like reload of a gun, or like everything was so crisp.
This movie better be nominated for a couple Oscars next year, otherwise
At
it'll win the
least for
fan vote.
sound.
God, yeah.
Sound. Yeah, I think cinematography has a chance as well. I was really impressed with the way
Art
it looked.
direction, VFX.
Art direction, yeah, VFX, yeah, because there's a lot of VFX we don't even know were there. But let's wrap it up right there, because we've been going on for an hour and we've got our spoiler conversation happening tomorrow, and that's the one where the goodies are going to fly. The way that show's going to work is we're going to do the first hour. It's going to be 7 hours long. The first hour will be us gushing. The second hour will be us gushing. The third hour will be the pee break. The fourth hour, I'm just joking. All right, guys.
Yeah, you're gonna find out how Superman's parents died.
Yeah, everyone's name is Martha in this one. Kale, where can everybody find you at?
You can find me on Twitter at MovieKale, and then please check out my show, The Youth Critic podcast. It's on Anchor, it's on Spotify, iTunes, anywhere you can watch podcasts. Thank you so much, James. Scotty, it's nice to meet you.
Yes, you too, man.
Yeah, thanks, Kale. And Scotty, where can everybody find you at?
It's Hawks Holocrons on YouTube primarily. Little baby channel over there, grinding our way to 250.
You'll get
So,
there.
yeah, I love YouTube. I love the community and theories. You guys can reach out on Twitter too. Right after you see it, drop a DM. I'm usually in there.
All right, that'll do it. Thanks, guys. Thanks for joining me today. Go check out their podcast and YouTube channels. And until next time, we're going to talk tomorrow, though. But until next time, may you be the master of your own universe.